What is going on, friends? Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. We have a busy show for you. A altercation between Russell Westbrook and a fan in Utah. Antonio Brown is traded to the Raiders, and some other huge NFL news. Conor McGregor is in trouble again, and we take a visit to the teams at the United Center. All this and much more on this episode of Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado. What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
another day at the office, I get to go out there and test my skill.
To award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.
Enjoy our shows? Follow the Mercado Airwaves crew all over social media. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. On Instagram, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado2121. Mike is at Mike Mercado2333. And our true crime show is at Murder Mysteries and More. And on Twitter, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado21Alex. And Mike is at MMercado2333. You can follow the network at Mercado Airwaves. Follow our pop culture show on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Get us on the go by downloading our programs anywhere you get your favorite podcast, like iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean, Stitcher, and other popular sites. Just search us at Mercado Airwaves. While you're at it, please like, rate, review, and share us with your friends. Visit us on youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Click the subscribe and like button to get notified every time a new episode or interview is posted. Support Mercado Airwaves by visiting patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home of our interviews with athletes and celebrities, which you can get ad-free and early bmunch it's released to the public. Come play video games with us on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Mercado Airwaves is powered by Munch Art Design. Like them on Facebook at Munch Art Design. Voiceover work on Mercado Airwaves is performed by Josh Fox.
So as you might have seen, Russell Westbrook is in the news again, and not because he's playing at an MVP level, not because he's helping Oklahoma City try to be a legit contender in the Western Conference, because of another fan altercation. And this has become really a thorn on the side of not just fandom, not just sports, but just in general with people and entertainment, athletics, whatever the case may be. So before we get into my thoughts of what I think about this whole damn mess that a lot of people, I'm not even going to call them fans anymore, I'm going to call them jerks. A lot of jerks have done. Thank you, George Costanza from Seinfeld. This is ridiculous. So before we get into all this, obviously, if you're going all over social media, you saw that Russell Westbrook was seen yelling into the stands saying, "I will mess you and your wife up." Right? And of course that looks bad, right? Oh my goodness. Easy to turn this a big, scary black man yelling at fans in Utah, right? And then you dig a little deeper, right? You start doing a little investigation. You know, since we do live in the media age where everything's on our fingertips, correct? Right? But nobody ever wants to dig deep into it, right? They like to plant their flag somewhere and not move forward. So my initial reaction when I heard this whole thing was, man, Russ, why are you doing that, man? Like, you're better than that. You don't need to, even if they did you wrong, you don't need to do that, whatever. And then you hear maybe what actually was said. Because when you hear the fans' perspective, they were just being good fans, just a little jeering, right? Well, let's hear what Russ has to say. This is courtesy of ESPN and Russell Westbrook as he was meeting the media afterwards.
Obviously, everybody's talking about the same video, but the realization of it is how it started was a young man and his wife in the stands told me to get down on my knees like he used to. And for me, that's just completely disrespectful to me. I think it's racial. I think it's just inappropriate in a sense of there's no protection for the players. I think there are a lot of great fans around the world that like to come to the game and enjoy the game. And there are people that come to the game and to say mean, disrespectful things about me, my family. For many years, man, I've done all the right things. I've never done anything to hurt or harm anybody. I've never been in any trouble. Never fought a fan. Been in the league 11 years. Clean slate. Humble. I take all the criticism from everybody. I've been doing the same thing for years. And for me, disrespect will not be taken from me. I'm completely just sit back sometime and just take it like that. That's just one video, but throughout the whole game, since I've been here, especially here in Utah, every time I come here, it's a lot of disrespectful things I said. And for me, I'm just not going to continue to take disrespect from my family. I just think that there's got to be something done. There's got to be some consequences for those type of people that come to the game just to say and do whatever they want to say. And I don't think it's fair to the players, not just to me, but I don't think it's fair to the players. And if I had to do it over again, I would say the same exact thing, because I truly will stand up for myself, for my family, for my kids, for my wife, for my mom, for my dad every single time. I expect anybody else to do the same. So that's kind of where I'm at with the whole situation. As for beating up his wife, I've never put my hand on a woman. I never will. Never been in any domestic violence before, never have before, but once he said the comment, his wife repeated it, the same thing to me as well. So that's kind of how that started. I know you guys only got the tail end of the video, but the start of the video is way more important and way more disrespectful than what you guys heard. So appreciate y'all.
I think Russ was very well said there. And he explains to you in that clip exactly kind of what everybody who works in sports media, works in entertainment media, kind of understands when some of the stuff you do here in stadiums is horrible. And not just offensive, it's horrible. And this is the stuff that really, it really irks me. Because it's the same thing you see on social media all the time. Being able to think you could say something to somebody. Like there's no repercussions, right? Like going to a game means that there's an invisible wall between you and the players. So you could get away with anything because they're in their own little world and you're in your own little world. That's not entirely true. You're in their workplace, right? This is the thing that really starts to upset me a little bit about this whole scenario, right? So understanding being a fan, let's get a few things straight. Is the merchandise extremely overpriced? Absolutely. Are the tickets overpriced? Absolutely. Is the concessions overpriced? Absolutely. Is it a hassle to get to the stadium? Absolutely. But what do those four things have in common? They're not rights. They're not something you need to live. They're not everyday necessities like air, water, food, clothing, shelter. No, these are luxuries, right? And because we can afford these luxuries and we live in a country that allows us these luxuries, we then have this entitlement that, well, I paid for this ticket. I paid for this seat. Hell, this seat is basically my property. I watch 100 hours of Bulls basketball, Thunder basketball, Cubs baseball, whatever the case may be. I'm just as invested in this team. No, you're not. First of all, sit down, Jerome. You're not. All right, David. So let me slow down a little bit, because I don't know about you guys, because we have awesome fans here at Sports from the Couch. We're passionate, and I think being a passionate fan is fair. And I think players like it. You even hear Russ talk about it. There is something about being a heckler in a certain way. Like if you come up with a good, kind of burn, or you're booing the opponent when they're going for a free throw, or they just scored a touchdown. That's all great, right? But then there's another level of it. So let's say you're one of these guys who does feel entitled, that you did pay all this money and all this merch and all whatnot to bring the family to see Russell Westbrook. You're a little agitated as it is, but you want to see the best in the world at what they do. So you bite that bullet and you watch them. Now imagine then going spending all this money, getting the family together, getting to the stadium to watch your favorite team just for some fat slob who thinks he's as entitled as you and as talented as the guys in the court because he's played a few games at the YMCA is now heckling, screaming, swearing, and throwing racial slurs, which happens all the time. But you're going to be mad at Russell Westbrook? And thank God the media isn't going after Russ. You know, because I think we're all a little smarter now on social media that everybody has cameras and recorders, and it's not just he said, she said. It's, well, this is what the video says, right? And I like to, in today's day and age, especially since we do the true crime shows, and, you know, we're always breaking down and reviewing different things, and we try to be fair about everything while also giving our opinions. Somebody like me, when it comes to scenarios like this, I like to go to the road that has the least amount of obstructions, right? Which makes more sense. So to me, is Russell Westbrook a all-NBA player, been to the finals, MVP, lives his best life, is going to go out of his way in national television nowadays, right, with everybody a camera on him, just turn around and pick some random white dude in Utah and say, yeah, I'm going to fuck you and your wife up. Does that make sense? Or does it make more sense that a fan went to the game, probably had a drink or drink or two? Is Utah, so I don't know if that actually happens, but just in general, fans get to have their own way, right? It's not like it's the first time somebody's ever drank in Utah, right? Like, that doesn't happen. People don't break laws ever, right? No. But whatever the case may be, an entitled fan screaming out some racial stuff. What is more likely? Honestly, I don't care if you're the biggest jerk there is. I don't care if you're the biggest racist. I don't care if you're the biggest liberal. What makes more sense? I mean, come on, like, where are we at right now where we have grown men thinking that they're going to just talk to people any which way? Do you think the security guards are going to keep you safe if Russell Westbrook wants to whoop that ass? Just ask the people in Detroit. We've seen this. How many times do we need to see fans go into a sports or entertainment world and get their ass kicked and then expect us to feel sorry for you? That's like us feeling sorry for the lady got beat up by that Jaguar. You went inside the Jaguar's cage. You went on the court. You said something racist. And this is the problem, right? It's just because they make a lot of money doesn't make them that they're not human, right? Just because they have some sort of stature doesn't make them not a man or a woman. I'm a quote-unquote prominent person. I'm only 28 years old. I got a radio show, working on a radio station, own my own company. Right? But nobody comes down here and screams, hey, Mexican, hey, Puerto Rican, what are you doing there? Why? I didn't know you know how to speak English. Like, I don't have people doing that to me. I'll smack them around too. I'm with Russ on that. But you don't see that. You don't see people coming down to your office to heckle you. And then that gives you the mentality thinking that, well, this guy's a millionaire. He should be able to take it. Well, dude, you should be able to take it too, if that's the case. Right? Like, his job, his talent affords him that opportunity. You could have spent hours in the gym too. You could have done wind sprints. You could have played for all the different instructors, right? To get into the NBA. If you think you're just as good as Russell Westbrook, that you deserve that same type of money, right? And I don't want to hear this conversation about, oh, they're just being sensitive. Have you looked at this country? Everybody is sensitive. And we've made that okay. So when somebody gets a little too real for you, though, like a Russell Westbrook, dang, we get a little too scared, though, right? Especially a lot of these tough dudes who want to get at these athletes just because they watch enough sports and they play Madden. And this ownership mentality that we'll get into with the Antonio Brown situation with fantasy sports. I love fantasy sports. I love betting. But I also understand that, they're not robots and just numbers. These are humans since, I have interactions with them. I realize that they go to the grocery store like you and I. They get gas in their car. They just make more money than us. There's a lot of people who make more money than us, guys. Aggravating sometimes. And I'm not saying that you have to love and adore these players, but you got to treat them like humans. And I thought it was interesting because I saw this on Twitter, which you can follow me at Mercado2333 or the Mercado Airwaves Network at Mercado Airwaves. Charles Barkley actually had a conversation with Bob Costas about something like this. And we all know Charles Barkley is one of the funniest, one of the great ambassadors of the sport. And seems like a very genuine dude that as long as you treat him with respect, he'll treat you with respect. But like he's even mentioned before, I'm not a role model. Well, here's an interview. He talks about this scenario with fan interaction. Take a listen.
You know, it's amazing. People get offended when athletes do obscene things. But first of all, for me to do something obscene, somebody has to be screaming something to me that's really obscene. I don't go to the game and say I'm going to make an obscene gesture to a fan. Something has to provoke me.
Even if the fans are abusive, even if someone is abusive enough that he or she should be ejected, you or any other pro player has to be held to a higher standard. You cannot respond.
Not true. I'm a person. I was a person long before I was an athlete. And even I'm a man. I'm Charles Barkley secondary. I'm a man first. That's why I have gotten in some altercations, because I don't let these fans, they don't have to respect me, they don't have to like me, but they cannot disrespect me. If a fan walks up to me in my face and says something, he's probably going to get punched.
And Bob Costas brought something up where, you know, you're Charles Barkley, you're supposed to be held to a higher standard. In 2019, we've learned it doesn't matter what your stature is, you're not held to any standards. People aren't held to standards anymore, and that's the problem. But then I'm expecting Russ, I'm going to put all that on Russ now, and this is the problem with all of us, and I'll put myself in this. We put our morals and the way we want people to act upon others. And then when they don't act that way, we get a little upset, and we overreact, and that's a problem. That's an issue. But it's not upon us and our athletes, celebrities, politicians to make them our bare standards of what our morals and what we would do in scenarios. That's up to the individual. And it starts with you, the fan. If you're okay at going to a game and hearing somebody drop a racial slur in front of your child or your date or your father, your mother, maybe just some clients, maybe just some friends while you're at a game as they're wearing a jersey, right? Or as they watch every single game, as they follow them on Twitter, also throwing racial slurs at them. Not heckling. I love heckling. Heckling's great. You know, hey, better, swing. It's like, oh, you know, you messed that one air ball. You know, that's cool. Racial slurs? Come on, get on your knees. And here's the thing, too. You know, I went down the rabbit hole just to make sure, you know, again, we all are sensitive. So maybe Russ was having a rough day. I don't know. I didn't want just to naturally assume anything. But this guy, Shane from Utah, who definitely, you know, seems like a wonderful guy. Here's some tweets from Shane. And here's another thing. I do not like people going back in time to get people in trouble. But for context, this was in April of 2018. Day after my birthday, actually. Westbrook is a piece of classless shit. Somebody needs to kick his ass. Hashtag tool. Hashtag poor loser. How about on October 6th of 2018? Russell Westbrook needs to go back where he came from. Hashtag MAGA. Now, here's the thing, right? You could be a Donald Trump fan and not be racist. You know, just be a Republican. But I don't see level-headed, well-minded, just conservative Republicans writing hashtag MAGA. Hashtag MAGA is an instigator. Just as much as anything else is on the left side. There are trigger words that you use because you want a reaction. Hashtag MAGA is that of Shane. I don't need to know Shane's political affiliation to know whether he's a piece of shit or not. I could do it by the way he tweets at athletes and people. Right? And that's the problem is I think we think we're safe because we bought this ticket. The ticket doesn't guarantee you anything except for a seat in the stadium. Hell, we see James Dolan, the owner of the Knicks, kicking people out because he's petty and banning them from the Garden. You know, and that's the thing is, at least in Chicago, you know, you've always heard the stories about Wrigley Field, and then you've obviously the stuff that happened on the South Side with the father and son attacking the umpire. Obviously, what happens at the United Center, it happens everywhere. But it's what you do to react to it. It's what your history represents. It's what your demographic represents. And I understand it's not fair, but if you're a place like Utah, you have to try a little bit harder because you do have a stigma. And I don't know, I'm not from Utah. Never been to Utah, actually looks pretty dope. But I'm not, you know, that's what the rep is. You know, when we talk about the Chicago Bulls having a bad rap around the NBA, then you hear them say, well, no, that's not true. This, you know, you have Garpax coming down telling us why the organization likes them, who they work with ages. So in detail, maybe, but perception is reality. And you have Russell Westbrook, one of the most popular pop culture icons right now, telling you this happens all the time in Utah. So I'm just saying to all the fans, This isn't coming from somebody else who doesn't understand you, who's not one of you. Not only am I one of you, I became a media member, quote unquote media member, because I was a fan. Because I loved it so much and I wanted to know the intricacies of everything. I'm fascinated by stuff like that. We need to be better as fans. You know, I'm at Wrigley how many times a year? You know, we have to be vigilant. Not tattletales. Heckling is fine. Even a little cursing, you know, ass, shit like that, whatever. Just be careful around the kids, you know. But there's no room for racial, sexual harassment, slurs at a ball game. We're better than that. It's sports. I mean, I get really upset at it because I expect more from us. And I hate when we get that Neanderthal label put on us because we're just a bunch of meatheads. That's not true. And sports is a sweet science. Just like the sweet science of boxing, all of sports is a sweet science. There's intricacies, there's passion, there's thoughts, there's so much that goes into it. And it's a shame when, like even Russ said, there's great fans who want to just watch ball. I could watch the NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, NFL. It doesn't matter. UFC, boxing, because I just love it. I love watching the best of the best do what they do. And we're critical on them because we're breaking down film, but we also understand that they are doing something that not a lot of us can do on this planet. We have to have some type of respect for each other. So I think when it comes to this is maybe Russ rubs you the wrong way. People do that. People rub each other the wrong way all the time. Doesn't mean you have to be disrespectful. And you're not only just representing yourself, you're representing everybody. And that's just how it is in fandom, is we all are one. We celebrate and lose as one. Except for when we want to just disassociate ourselves with these athletes and treat them like they're robots, like they're not real. Just because we see them on television, just because they look special, because they are. And both things can be true. We can appreciate their talent. We can also understand that they are human. And as long as they give you respect, and here's the thing too, athletes don't owe you anything in the sense of having to give you an autograph or stop for pictures or anything. What they owe you is the respect that you give them. That's just it. That is it. You don't get autographs from doctors. You don't get autographs from UPS drivers. You don't get autographs from firemen, police officers. Nobody's obligated to do anything for you. Your ticket guarantees you a seat. That's it. We got more here on Sports from the Couch, here on the Mercado Airwaves Network.
Enjoy our shows? Follow the Mercado Airwaves crew all over social media. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. On Instagram, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado2121. Mike is at Mike Mercado2333. And our true crime show is at Murder Mysteries and More. And on Twitter, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado21Alex. And Mike is at MMercado2333. You can follow the network at Mercado Airwaves. Follow our pop culture show on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Get us on the go by downloading our programs anywhere you get your favorite podcast, like iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean, Stitcher, and other popular sites. Just search us at Mercado Airwaves. While you're at it, please like, rate, review, and share us with your friends. Visit us on youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Click the subscribe and like button to get notified every time a new episode or interview is posted. Support Mercado Airwaves by visiting patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home of our interviews with athletes and celebrities, which you can get ad-free and early before it's released to the public. Come play video games with us on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Mercado Airwaves is powered by Munch Art Design. Like them on Facebook at Munch Art Design. Voiceover work on Mercado Airwaves is performed by Josh Fox.
What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
Another day at the operator to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing,
How
buddy?
you, sir? I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support. We've had some busy days in the NFL as players are now verbally agreeing and being traded to other teams. And it won't be official for another few weeks, but the NFL is on fire. And just breaking in as we are recording this episode of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves Network, the Packers, they are signing Bears safety Adrian Amos. Sources say that is a tweet from Ian Rappaport. So Adrian Amos, former Chicago Bear, now a Packer. This is after they signed really good edge rusher Denarius Smith from Baltimore. And the NFL is just on fire, guys. And there's just been a report now, some more breaking news that I am looking at. Let me just make sure I confirm this from Field Yates. Source says the Bears have created $11 million of cap space by converting $13 million of a Khalil Mack's base salary and roster bonus into a signing bonus. Chicago positioning itself to make moves if desired. Oh my God. And obviously now the Packers, again, going after another Bears defensive back. But wow, what a big move. So you know what? First thing we want to do, let's get into the big story of this free agency, of this trading going on in the NFL. Antonio Brown traded and signed a 3-year deal worth up to $54 million from the Raiders with a $30 million guaranteed signing. I mean, he won, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers get back 2 draft picks and a 3rd and a 5th round pick. I mean, let's be fair on this situation. Antonio Brown will be 31 when this season starts. But there's a lot of things you got to take from this story. And if you stuck with us from the previous conversation we had about Russell Westbrook, I've seen a lot of blowback towards Antonio Brown. So, and look, I get it. He's been a little weird. And the way he ended the last game of the season was shady, not playing. I mean, it was shady as hell. I'm not going to deny that. But, I mean, I thought at this point in the National Football League as fans, we would all realize just how cutthroat it is. And that when a player can get his money, he needs to go get his money. And I get it. We can have a conversation if all things were being equal about wanting to go somewhere to win. Kind of what's going on with Le'Veon Bell right now. Him sitting out the whole season. He's done it for the fact to get to the point to sign in where he wants for the most amount of money. But when it comes to Antonio Brown, this was the plan. The plan was to get paid as much as he did. He's the 3rd highest paid contract guaranteed-wise that is not a quarterback. We were talking about a 7-time Pro Bowler, over 10,000 receiving yards, 74 touchdowns. The dude's a super stud. You could make credit to Ben Roethlisberger, right? I mean, Ben Roethlisberger has made a lot of great receivers, or have a lot of great receivers made Ben Roethlisberger. See, both things can be true. That's how these things happen. You have to have a great wide receiver to have a great quarterback and vice versa. But you can't sit here and say that Antonio Brown either A, doesn't deserve it or shouldn't have done it. This is the NFL. They could have cut him anytime they want. In a league where if you tear your ACL, you have too many concussions, hell, you'll use your God-given American right to protest. You could be out of this league. Right? We know that as fans. We know what the risks are. Especially these athletes, they know it. Antonio Brown knew it. He was one injury away from Pittsburgh moving on from him. And you can say whatever you want, whether it's a good move for Oakland to have done this. The conversation isn't that. That's an Oakland move, whatever. You know, like, that's just a football move. People got to get paid. Names got to be moved. There's rotation in this league. But for some reason, people have a hard time with Antonio Brown. And I think I understand with other sports because it is all guaranteed and there's an absurdly a lot amount of money. I can kind of see where people get clouded. But when it comes to this, they need this. He needed this. It's hard for me to just blame him because there's definitely blame to go around with Mike Tomlin, the ownership, and Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown. Because it's not just Antonio Brown. Look what happened with Le'Veon Bell. The team. This is the first time in my 28 years on this planet that I've ever seen this function with the Pittsburgh Steelers like this. It was pretty jarring that they're the gold standard of this league, and to kind of see them just tear each other apart and cannibalize themselves was fascinating. And it's going to be fascinating to see what Derek Carr does with Antonio Brown? How does Gruden put this all together? And it's a weird move because it doesn't get you any closer to a championship. But I don't think that's the point. I think Oakland and its fan base, because of the move to Oakland and to Vegas from Oakland, and obviously what's going on with where were they going to play this year, they needed something. They needed people to show up, and they needed some buzz going into the season. Whether or not it's a good roster move, that's not the conversation for today. We'll have that conversation one day. But whether Antonio Brown should have done this and whether he won and Pittsburgh lost, absolutely. Antonio Brown came up on top with the 1-2-3. $30 million guaranteed. We all would have done the same. You move on from one job to another if they offer you more money. Now, it'd be a different conversation if, let's say, he had a great relationship with Pittsburgh and they offered him $25 million because they needed to make a roster move and they were this close to a championship. Well, maybe. Then I could get it, if you were working at mom and pop shops and they couldn't give you the exact same amount that this big corporation can, but, they're working with you. It's comparable. But that wasn't the case. They weren't going to pay him. They didn't want to pay him. He had beef with the team already. It was over. Imagine if you were in that scenario, what would you do? That's always the question when it comes to being a fan. Why are we so obsessed with being in other people's pockets? Antonio Brown isn't the reason why your ticket price is so high. It's not the reason why that jersey is so much money. And just because you drafted him in the first round of a fantasy draft doesn't mean he owes you anything. I know we like to believe that. I know we like to believe we're in the center of everybody's universe. But all things, again, can be true. The fans are important. The athlete's important. The owner's important. The stadium's important. It's all one living organism. Nothing's more important than the other. But the product is the product, and that's Antonio Brown. And if he thinks that his talents are worth this amount and somebody's willing to pay him that, who are we to say otherwise? We can judge the move as a roster move all we want. But at the end of the day, if this was wrestling and somebody took the fall, it was the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because Antonio Brown is worth more than a third and a fifth. Now in the NFL, a third and a fifth can become something. But the difference between having Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster with Ben Roethlisberger is giving him $30 million and not giving him $30 million. Oakland might have won this trade. Let us know what you think, though. Did the Oakland Raiders overpay for Antonio Brown? Did Pittsburgh get swindled in this deal? And what does the future look for? Where will Pittsburgh go on next? And what do you do now, fantasy owners, with Antonio Brown? We got more here on Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado. What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
Another day at the office, I get to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.
Enjoy our shows? Follow the Mercado Airways crew all over social media. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. On Instagram, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado2121. Mike is at Mike Mercado2333. And our true crime show is at Murder Mysteries and More. And on Twitter, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado21Alex. And Mike is at MMercado2333. You can follow the network at Mercado Airwaves. Follow our pop culture show on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Get us on the go by downloading our programs anywhere you get your favorite podcast, like iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean, Stitcher, and other popular sites. Just search us at Mercado Airwaves. While you're at it, please like, rate, review, and share us with your friends. Visit us on youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Click the subscribe and like button to get notified every time a new episode or interview is posted. Support Mercado Airwaves by visiting patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home of our interviews with athletes and celebrities, which you can get ad-free and early before it's released to the public. Come play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Mercado Airwaves is powered by Munch Art Design. Like them on Facebook at Munch Art Design. Voiceover work on Mercado Airwaves is performed by Josh Fox.
Alrighty, friends, before we get out of here, I want to touch a little base with y'all what's going on over at the United Center. The Blackhawks have won a few games in a row. It looks like they're still going to fall a little bit short of the 8th seed in the Western Conference, but they sure as hell have put a little show on for us over the last few weeks. And they had that rough stretch, last week? They lost those 3 games, but, it was fun. I think they're on the come-up again. But to see what Patrick Kane has been doing, it's been crazy. But we also wanted to look a little bit in the Bulls side of the United Center, and they had that big win over Philadelphia. Jimmy Butler's Philadelphia 76ers, 108-107 this past Wednesday, and then losing to Detroit back-to-back games, at least Friday to Sunday. And I've kind of gone through a renaissance with the Chicago Bulls. I've kind of gotten over the hope that they would be the worst record in the NBA. I don't think that was a thing. I don't think that's been a thing for a while. I think this organization realized it, and whether that's good or bad, I just think they evaluated themselves into something different. Now, it is interesting. I did hear over the last few days this theory that perhaps they're not scouting Zion Williamson to be that changer of a franchise. Which would be interesting because Joe Cowley actually responded saying that they would be against the trend of almost every other scout. It kind of seems like something Garpax would do. He's kind of go against the grain in that sense. But as we've moved on and you've seen what Duke is without Zion, you realize how big of an X factor he is. But with this Bulls team specifically, I did one of these. If you're not a Bulls, if you're an NBA fan and you're not on Takeathon, to see, it's a great, I'm actually doing it right now live in the air. So you go on takeathon.com and it has the 2019 NBA Draft Lottery Simulator. And right now the Bulls at 13-49, who have lost 2 straight, they've been 5-5 playing 500 in these last 10 games, are right there got a 48.1% chance of getting a top 4 pick and have a 12.5% chance at getting the number 1 overall pick. So the top 3 in the draft lottery, if you're not aware, after the ping pongs are done, you have a 14% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. So that's why you want it to be 1, 2, or 3. Essentially, that's why you want to be New York, Phoenix, or Cleveland. But really, the difference is 2%. Or a little bit less, maybe 1.5% between where the Bulls would be and these other 3 teams. The real competition comes with Atlanta having a 10.5% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. And that, again, that's a huge difference now. And it looks like the Bulls are going to hang on to that. It was really important that if they were going to win that 4 overtime game that they lost the next game they played against Atlanta, which they did. So that was really important. But I think the Bulls are pretty much settled to where they're at. And at worst case scenarios, they get the 8th pick. And if they get the 8th pick, that is devastating. That is so devastating for this franchise. But if you end up in the 1 through 3, I think you're going to be okay, whether it's Morant, Barrett, or Zion. Now, I think obviously Zion would be the best overall player for any team in the NBA. I mean, that's a given, right? But if the Bulls get a real point guard, and I don't think they're going to keep Chris Dunn, so I like Chris Dunn, but I think Chris Dunn's the perfect 6'7" man on a roster, not a starting point guard in the NBA. He's a hell of a defender, though, but even that. But I like Chris Dunn, but I don't think that they believe he's going to be the starting point guard for a winning team. If you can bring in Barrett, and the way Levane's playing, the way Laurie's playing, you get a healthy Wendell Carter back. You got some talent. They're babies, but you got some talent. And I really kind of dig that. But it's what I've been saying about this front office, that they'll get by the skin of their teeth, and they'll get just enough talent around, and they might get lucky, and it might just form in together. But this thing has been so loosey-goosey. I mean, the way it started with Jim Boylan kind of just handcuffing this offense to just kind of letting them run free, letting Zach run the one, Laurie kind of getting out of his shell. It was kind of a little demoralizing in the beginning of the season, kind of seeing him take a step back, but it kind of looks like he has matured into an NBA player, and it looks like there is something there with him. Obviously, losing Wendell Carter was a blow when it comes to development, but bringing in Otto Porter, they were 5-2 for the longest time with him. They had a winning record after the trade. So it's a guy that underperformed his contract in one place, and it changed the scenario with other types of players. It might have been what they were asking for. So they have a group. It's just whether or not Jim Boylan's the coach to get them there. It's whether or not they get a franchise-changing player in the draft. But I thought it would be fun if we actually did a simulation. So they allow you to do it here on Tankathon. Again, tankathon.com. Just a great website. I think any NBA fan will like it. Go ahead and you press Sim Lottery, and the number one overall pick went to... No! The Chicago Bulls with the number one overall pick. The New York Knicks with number 2. The Minnesota Timberwolves moved up to 3. Dallas at 4, which would end up being Atlanta. Phoenix, Cleveland, Atlanta, Memphis, Washington, New Orleans. Wow. Unbelievable. Wow. Did not see that one coming. So, all right, guys, it's confirmed Zion will be a Chicago Bull. And lastly, before we close up shop, UFC star Conor McGregor has been arrested in South Florida for smashing the cell phone of someone who was trying to take his photo, according to authorities. This is a report. According to Miami Beach police report, the 30-year-old Conor McGregor, for some reason I thought Conor was older than that, but Conor McGregor was arrested Monday afternoon and charged with strong armed robbery and criminal mischief, both felonies. Authorities said UFC star Conor McGregor was arrested in South Florida on Monday for allegedly smashing the cell phone of someone who was trying to take his photo, Miami Beach Police Department via AP. The report indicated McGregor was leaving the Fontainebleau, Miami Beach shortly after 5 a.m. Monday when a 22-year-old man attempted to take a picture of McGregor. Police said McGregor slapped the phone out of the man's hand and stomped it several times. Investigators said McGregor then grabbed the phone and left the area. Police later found McGregor at his local address. McGregor was released on $12,500 bail late Monday night. McGregor's defense attorney, Sam Rabin, issued the following statement on Monday. Last evening, Conor McGregor was involved in a minor altercation involving a cell phone that resulted in a call to law enforcement. Mr. McGregor appreciates the response of law enforcement and pledges his full cooperation. So, after you get kind of like slapped on the wrist with all the publicity stuff that happened in Brooklyn, and then for this to happen, it's not the greatest of moves for Conor. But it kind of is in quote-unquote character and only like makes him more famous, makes him more money, which is kind of the crazy part about this. But what I find interesting about the story is kind of what's been the theme of this whole episode is fandom. And we've definitely taken the side of the athlete a lot of this. But if you just read this story right now, Conor overreacted. Conor was an asshole. The asshole we were talking about in the first 2 segments. I understand. It's exactly what I said. They don't owe you an autograph. They don't owe you a picture. All they owe you is the same respect another human gives another human. Is it better for their look, their brand, their bottom line if they do give you the picture, if they do give you the autograph? Of course. They don't owe you that, though. They do owe you respect. And they sure as hell should never put their hands on you. That's assault. And again, that's the problem I have here is the one story we're getting is that. Now, maybe the fan was acting like a dipshit. I don't know. But just with this story alone, Conor overreacted and deserves to get in trouble. Now, of course, he's so freaking rich with proper whiskey and the UFC and the money fight. But, that doesn't disqualify you from getting punished for being an asshole. So, if it is this way, then Conor overreacted, deserves the punishment that he gets, and that is what it is. But if it's the other way around and we find out that this dude was harassing Conor, it's just another example of personal space, people. Personal space. Also, speaking of personal space, personally here right now, I am in the studio, and I have to give a quick shout out to the Chicago Cubs, who have an amazing YouTube channel, guys. If you're a Cub fan, definitely check that out. And the only reason I bring this up is it's been a story over our few shows about the Cubs having their new marquee network coming out next year, and one of the big pushes they were having was having a bigger YouTube presence. And they've had some great videos of top 10 comebacks in the Joe Madden era and the David Bodie Grand Slam against Washington in national television on ESPN. 2 great YouTube videos, so I highly suggest you guys check that out. Also, all you wrestling fans, WrestleMania is official. It is Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair versus the man Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship, and you can check out our interview right now with the man herself, Becky Lynch, anywhere you get your favorite podcasts, at Mercado Airwaves, or ad-free at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. But that'll do it for us, guys. We're going to have so much more news about the NFL, where everybody lands. Stay tuned with us if there's any breaking news for the Chicago Bears. Spring training is almost at an end. We are so close to opening day for both the Cubs, the White Sox, and all of MLB. We'll see how the Blackhawks finish off this NHL season. Where will the Bulls land in the NBA lottery draft? It never is a slow time in the sports world, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Follow us all over social media. I'm at mmercado2333 on Twitter, Instagram.com/MikeMercado2333. Subscribe to us on YouTube, YouTube.com/MikeMercado2333. Play video games with me on Twitch, Twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Download, like, rate, review all our shows wherever you get your favorite podcasts at Mercado Airwaves. It really helps us out. If you write a little review telling us that you like the show, it helps get the shows out to a lot of different people. A huge shout out to Munch Art Design for powering us here at the Mercado Airwaves Network. And, of course, like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of Sports from the Couch. Enjoy all the games, and we will see you next time here on Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike.
Enjoy our shows? Follow the Mercado Airwaves crew all over social media. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. On Instagram, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado2121. Mike is at Mike Mercado2333. And our true crime show is at Murder Mysteries and More. And on Twitter, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado21Alex. And Mike is at mmercado2333. You can follow the network at Mercado Airwaves. Follow our pop culture show on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Get us on the go by downloading our programs anywhere you get your favorite podcast, like iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean, Stitcher, and other popular sites. Just search us at Mercado Airwaves. While you're at it, please like, rate, review, and share us with your friends. Visit us on youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Click the subscribe and like button to get notified every time a new episode or interview is posted. Support Mercado Airwaves by visiting patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home of our interviews with athletes and celebrities, which you can get ad-free and early before it's released to the public. Come play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Mercado Airwaves is powered by Munch Art Design. Like them on Facebook at Munch Art Design. Voiceover work on Mercado Airwaves is performed by Josh Fox.
What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
Another day at the office, I get to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones,
Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
and all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.